So, I have left Singapore for a few weeks and right now I'm currently in Malaysia. But within these few weeks in Malaysia or even out of Singapore, I have already noticed a few changes towards my attitude and maybe my personality and my mindset after leaving Singapore. And I just want to share this in the video, which may be a little personal and maybe not so finance related. So let me know whether you like this genre of content and maybe join us at close to 10,000 members at the Honey Money SG Telegram group to discuss with like-minded individuals how is it like to achieve financial independence together. So join us at Honey Money SG. I think the number one most noticeable difference is bigger heart. And bigger heart is a very generic statement. In Chinese, we call it 格局. English, I don't know what is that called. It's like your mindset and capacity is so much more expanded to what you originally have. Because maybe when you are living in a small city, a small nation like Singapore, small community, you only see things in a very minute view. You will not view it from different perspective from others. Maybe in Singapore, you are a majority race, but when you go overseas, you suddenly become a minority, and that makes you become more aware of your surroundings and how other people feel about you. And you realize that all these arguments about online opinions, people shouting hate messages at you, writing nasty things about you, all seem so insignificant. Because when you turn off the internet and you plug out your computer, these people are nothing in your lives. You will just get on carrying on with your life, doing your things, doing your work, going out on your own adventures. And why do you even bother with such online comments? You see, the thing about me leaving Singapore to go to somewhere out of Singapore, firstly with Malaysia, is that I'm just doing my thing, executing my own plan and minding my own business, and there you have other people trying to mind your business, telling you it's wrong to leave the country, to quit, and you are a loser if you are going out of the country. First of all, the fact is that if you have options to move out of the country for better opportunities, you are not a loser. You are a successful person because you have options. People who do not have options cannot choose. They can only stay where they are, at their comfort zones. And in fact, when you're leaving Singapore, you're going out of your comfort zone, which is a tougher environment. It is not easier. So for those of you who think it is an easier life in Malaysia, I can assure you it is not. It is much harder. But the very good benefit about a Singaporean living in Malaysia is that you don't have to worry much about the cost of living because of the geographic arbitrage. The power of Singapore dollars currency versus Malaysian ringgit is still on a beneficial level right now, because 1 is to 3.4x. But in future, who really knows? And in Malaysia, you don't have to worry about things like housing because it is relatively affordable, and high population density because there's so much land here, there's so much more spaces to roam around. You are not so uptight of people living very close to you. Like your next door neighbor is just a few steps of you in Singapore. I think in Malaysia it's much more spaced out, and people have their own space to do what they want and mind their own business. Which brings me to the point that minding your own business is a very important skill, because I realize that a lot of people online cannot mind their own business. They like to poke their nose and tell what other people should do. Maybe one thing we could learn from Malaysians is that they are really relaxed, they are really chill about everything. Anything is not a big deal as long as it's not life and death. Don't be so uptight about everything. Take a chill pill and everything will be fine. And if you worry about the money aspect, then maybe you should check out this offer from my sponsor, because it is offering you almost something like free cash. Have you heard? Webull just upsized their fund any amount deal, where you can win rewards worth up to $3,000. If you're new to investing, you don't have to worry about losing your hard-earned money, because I do know that emotional feeling of losing real money. Webull offers paper trading to help you practice your trading skills, test your trading strategies before putting your real money at risk. So you could just open a paper portfolio account and execute all the trading strategies that you have learned before using your own money, because losing fake money is still better than losing real money. And then once you're more confident, then it's time to ditch that paper trading account and move on to the real stuff. And especially if you're a beginner to options, definitely check out paper trade first, because you don't want to lose your hard-earned money playing with real options. So for example, Tesla, you can check out how to place these trades and how the profit and loss will impact. upon using the paper trade portfolio. You can even reset your paper trading portfolio if you feel that the numbers were not good enough. For new to Webull customers, the terms and conditions are rather straightforward. All you have to do, fund any amount and maintain that fund for 30 days, and you will get a total of 6 free shares, with each free shares ranging from $10 to $500. So if you want to win all these attractive rewards and use Webull for investing, sign up with my referral link down below or scan this QR code right here to get your Webull account today. Now, the second significant thing that I noticed is that I sleep earlier and at regular hours. Sounds quite contradictory, right? Because now that I don't report to a same usual workplace every morning, I should be able to sleep at what hours I want, but instead I'm sleeping at regular timings from 12 AM to 8 AM every single day. And this regular sleep cycles tends to be beneficial to the body because it has the own fixed maintenance schedule, which is great for the mind. And I guess the main reason is because I now live in a quieter neighborhood apart from the hustle and bustle of the Singapore city, where in Singapore at night, there are some cars who really cannot keep their engines down and they just bust through the road. And my house happened to be very close to a main road, and that is very bad for sleep cycles. So am I in a better sleeping condition right now? Yes, I will guess so, and that is good for health. The number 3 difference that I realized is that I eat better. And when I'm talking about eating better, it's not just about more delicious food, but also more healthy and nutritious food. You realize that all the groceries that you're buying from Singapore are mostly imported, including your fresh produce like poultry and vegetables. But in Malaysia, all these are locally produced, which also means this produce may be harvested on the same day or the night before, and it's just sent fresh directly to the wet market where you can buy it every day. And the taste of the chicken, I don't know why, it just tastes very different. That's why you will realize that KFC in Malaysia tastes much better than Singapore, and that's because of the quality of the chicken. Of course, that's not just on chicken itself. I'm talking about everything like eggs, meat, vegetables, fruits, all this that has a strong agricultural activity in Malaysia. I think that's just something different from Singapore, where almost everything is imported. So there is a little bit of difference in the taste. But if we are talking about dining out, then definitely Malaysians tend to have a heavier taste of seasoning, which is why their food tastes better, because there's slightly more oil, more sugar, more salt. They have heavier tastes, which to you and me as a Singaporean, maybe it takes a little bit more time to adapt, because our food in local Singapore is less heavy in terms of the taste. And I think because of the currency advantage between Singapore dollars and Malaysian ringgit, you tend to be able to afford better food in terms of the quality itself. For example, vis-a-vis dollar for dollar product, if you're able to buy a better quality product like organically produced, then maybe you can go for that, because it is much more affordable in Malaysia compared to organic foods in Singapore. So all these factors are adding on to the eat better aspect. It's not just on the price itself, but also on the taste and also the quality of the ingredients. Number 4 difference that I noticed is that I start to engage more in small communications with strangers. By strangers, I mean those store vendors and those waiter and waitresses helping out within the retail stores or restaurants. I think Singapore is a highly fast-paced society where everyone is really rushing for time, and maybe they're overworked and underpaid during their work hours, and they need to serve the next table. There's so many customers. No one really dares to slow down because it may affect their work performance, and you're afraid of offending others if you're taking up their time. But I guess in Malaysia, it is quite different. It is a much slower pace of life, and people are generally more friendly, polite, and willing to answer your questions, even if you have a certain language barrier. Like in Malaysia, most of them speak Bahasa Melayu, whereas you as a Singaporean, you may not be able to speak their language, so there's a little bit of a communication barrier. But as long as you're trying to make the effort to learn their language, maybe start from ordering food, try out a little bit of Melayu, I think they're generally very appreciative of that, which is what I could see. So what I really appreciate is the slower pace of life. They are not rushing anywhere. You can take your time as long as you're not disturbing others. But with this slower pace of life, it will also come another disadvantage, which is the last point I will talk about. I am missing the efficiency of Singaporean standards. Now in Singapore, most of the time, if you're able to make an appointment, do some errands, and you need to run from places to places, usually it can be done within half a day. But in Malaysia, you do expect to take at least 1 work day to do one thing. Like if you want to go to banks, you want to go to government agencies to settle some work stuff, and you want to run errands here and there, you have to drive from point A to point B. And sometimes the traffic is horrible, the queues are horrible, the waiting time is not as great, and sometimes the working efficiency is just not as fast as what you would expect in Singapore. And this will also translate directly into the internet speed, because Malaysian internet speed is much slower than Singapore, based on the same level of cost. It is not like unusable, but definitely you can start to see the effect of downloading speed and uploading speed, especially when you are doing YouTube videos like mine. The walking speed of Malaysians is also generally much slower. I realized that I'm also starting to walk like them, very slow, not as fast as I did in Singapore, and that will also translate to the cashier speed, especially at supermarkets. You see your fair price aunties, very fast, right? Teeth here, teeth there, very fast. But in Malaysia, it is a little bit slower. So this kind of slower pace of life, you cannot have the best of both worlds. If you want the efficiency, you go to Singapore. If you appreciate the slower pace of life, you will enjoy it here in Malaysia. You cannot have both efficiency and slower pace of life together. It will come hand in hand for both the pros and cons. So it depends on which part do you prefer. But ultimately, I believe that staying in a foreign land, you just have to accept their practices and the local customs. You have to respect their people and their traditions. So don't try to bring your own Singaporean standards abroad. I think it is just being respectful to the host of the country, which is why I still appreciate living short term here in Malaysia. But before that, if you want to find out the reasons I live in Malaysia, then check out this previous video right here.